Hi everyone, welcome to a video that showcases and demonstrates how to use our award-winning psychic mediumship training cards. This is a how-to video that can show anyone that through time, practice and perseverance that you can teach yourself in time by using these cards to be able to communicate with someone who's died. That the relationship continues and it's mind-to-mind communication. These are a fabulous deck of cards that can teach you to keep in contact with a loved one who has died and the relationship isn't gone and that we do survive so-called death. A lot of people don't realize in this process that through using these cards and teaching you to keep that relationship going with a loved one who's died, you're actually teaching yourself to become an evidential psychic medium at the same time. And so a lot of people who are going through these cards and using these cards have basically come back to say, this is a game changer. This is changing the way I think and feel about grief and death in my daily life. And if this has done this to me, I want to do this for other people. So a lot of people who have used these cards for their own personal use and to keep in contact with their own loved ones who've died, they're finding a lot of joy in the process and feeling like they can also be evidential psychic mediums themselves. So they're fabulous cards for anyone who's wanting to be more evidential. If you want to do this for a living down the track, if you feel like you could be of service and help other people, whether it's volunteering at a spiritualist church or you want to go out on stage and be in front of a live audience, this is a fabulous deck of cards for that process, because it's teaching you with over 450 questions to ask Spirit how to be more evidential, and this is what they're all about. I really hope you enjoy this video as much as I do. My name is Rhys Wynn Davies, Psychic Medium. Introducing the Psychic Mediumship Training Cards by Rhys Wynn Davies and my partner Rhys Kaiser. This lightweight, award-winning deck of cards contains over 100 images and 450 questions to help anyone learn how to perceive and communicate with someone who has passed. These cards are one of the most amazing tools that you could ever get your hands on how to teach yourself to be able to talk to someone who has died. Have you not wanted to connect to someone you've lost? You sometimes hear their thoughts in your mind and think, did I just hear my dad's voice, but he's gone? Did I just see him in my dreams? What's really going on? Do we die or not? What happens when we die? Have you ever had these types of feelings and emotions and felt like this is something that you'd want to explore? These cards are a wonderful tool for anyone who's going through the grief process, wanting to find out whether it's possible to learn how to communicate with a loved one, or people who are desiring to want to be able to do that and to keep that relationship continuing even after death. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Whether it's a parent, whether it's a family member, a partner, a child, this deck of cards can help anyone be able to establish mind-to-mind communication with a loved one who has passed. I feel so proud that me and my partner are able to produce something like this over the last 15 years of my life being a professional medium and working in different countries to help people. This is something that can really help anyone have that connection continue with someone who's died. Now, the cool thing about these cards is not only do they help you have that personal connection with your own loved ones, if you want to learn and then be inspired to maybe become a psychic medium and be an evidential medium and give great evidence, these award-winning cards connect to a book called How to Talk to the Dead in 10 Easy Steps. And within this book, there is a process found nowhere else in the world that can help you profile a spirit communicator, not only for yourself, but for someone else as well. The process is called the 4 Ps, and the Psychic Mediumship Training Cards contain this process and teach you how to learn how to apply that process with sensing, perceiving, using your clairs, and to be able to ask telepathic questions and perceive them, to be able to profile a spirit person who has died. So when you order the Psychic Mediumship Training Cards, you get a complimentary free canvas cotton bag that's very tight fitting to keep the cards together and nice and firm and stop the cards from moving around too much so they don't get rubbed while traveling and working with the cards. The cards also come with this complimentary band you can see here. Depending on how you want to use them, you're welcome to have the band to hold them together. Otherwise, you've got this great canvas bag here that you can put the cards in, as I'll just demonstrate here. It's nice and tight fitting. Like I said, it stops them from moving about and keeps them all together. Yeah, so you can have this canvas bag. We thought that the canvas bag was much better environmental option because in time a lot of people end up throwing them away. So we went with the canvas bag option to be better for the environment. Very lightweight and easy to carry, just like this, and a complimentary band that comes with it. So that's what you get when you order the deck independently of the book, or as a combo deal with How to Talk to the Dead and 10 Easy Steps. So I'll now demonstrate how to use the Psychic Mediumship Training Cards. Okay, in the deck itself, you have the front cover and the back cover with the barcode and a little bit about who I am and my work as a medium. So we can move that one away. Now with the front cover, there's also 3 additional supportive cards, as you can see here. These are actually instructions on how to actually use the deck of cards. So over time, you actually won't need these either, really, but maybe you want to keep the front cover to the outside. That's totally up to you how you use these cards. But otherwise, what's really cool in here is there's this template that you can see here. Now, this is about using all the clairs that we have to help profile a spirit person. So you'll see here, mentally know in your mind, claircognizance, physically sense in your body, so clairphysique, information from a spirit person. The heart represents emotion, or feeling the emotion with clairsentient ability. The eye represents being clairvoyant, or the visions that you get from a spirit. The ear symbolizes clairaudient ability to hear the voice of spirit, or to hear sounds and impressions through the clairaudient ability. The mouth represents taste, clairgustance, and of course clairsmell, clairscent, is about smelling and perceiving scents and smells through the nose, right? So these are the senses that we're going to be applying when we profile a spirit person. So this comes in the deck of cards, very easily self-explanatory on how to use these clairs with profiling a spirit person. So I'll move them to the side. Okay, and now we have what's called the 4 Ps process. The 4 Ps process is a process to basically profile a spirit person, and this is talked about specifically in my book, How to Talk to the Dead in 10 Easy Steps. It talks about using the 4 Ps, which is how to profile a spirit communicator. So these cards support this book and go into more depth in the practical element on how to actually put the 4 Ps into process. So the 4 Ps are broken into 4 simple sections and they're color-coded. So now P1 stands for physical evidence. In mediumship, it's very important for a person to learn how to communicate with their loved ones, or if you want to do this for a living and be an evidential medium, physical evidence is important. We need physical evidence as soon as possible to help a recipient or yourself know who's trying to communicate with you. So if you're doing this for yourself and you want to connect to a loved one who's died, you want to know physical evidence. So you can start to establish, well, who's trying to talk to me? Who am I perceiving around me right now? Who's wanting to come into my mind? If you're doing this for a living, or want to do it for a living and learn how to do it for a living, then you also need to know the physicality of a person who's died so that the recipient can identify who they are, right? So that's so important. 2 of the most critical things as physical evidence is relationship and cause of death. They're the 2 most dominant things. You need to know the relationship and cause of death without anything else on why someone comes to want to communicate with you from the spirit world. So with P1, the physicality cards, these are double-sided, there's 20 of them, and they have questions that you can, in thought, ask a spirit person. And then using the clairs, try and perceive the information coming back to you. So there's all of these questions throughout this whole process. There's actually 450 questions that you can ask spirit in these cards to perceive a response back for them. That's true. A lot of people learning how to be a medium or wanting to become a medium don't realize that you just don't sit and wait for something to come to you. You actually have to be prepared to ask for it. And how do we do that? Through perceiving thought questions. And there's over 450 in this deck of cards to help you ask perceiving thought questions to a spirit communicator, so that you, with your clair senses, remember we're talking about all of these clairs, how are we able to perceive that information and then interpret it so that you can know who this is, yeah, that's trying to communicate. So it's very, very important. So in this whole process, right, we have, for example, physicality. So with the physicality, right, we have, they're all double-sided and they're really beautiful, right? But you can see the symbol that's on the cards, which is the type of clair that you should be asking for when you see it appearing on the card itself. So the little indicator down the bottom here will tell you, okay, with clairvoyant ability, so to be able to see, can you show me your eyes, please? What were they? Did you have good eyesight? Was there anything unusual about your eyes? Yeah, and try and clairvoyantly see that in your mind. So you're asking these thoughts to the spirit and waiting to see what visions you get about them. And same thing as we progress. What was your body type like? How tall were you? What was your condition and your posture like? How did you walk? Show us your body type. But the hand represents clair physique, the ability to feel in your body, your own body, what it's like to be them. And they might show you. I've had spirit show me that my right hand just disappeared. So I felt like, oh, I know this person's lost their right hand. And the recipient's gone, that's true. So as you progress, right, you can basically use all of these different types of physical cards to help you profile the physical attributes of a person who's died. Types of body markings, types of clothes they wore, their relationship to each other and the family, feeling it with the heart. This one's got clairaudient, right? The ability to hear names. Yeah, what was their name? Imagine being able to perceive that. The brain symbol here, remember, is claircognizant. I don't know how I know, I just know. These are beautifully colored cards with all of these beautiful questions that you can ask spirit in thought to perceive and answer back using the clair that's indicated in the bottom corner of the card. Yeah, very, very easy, very simple. Yeah, that's to help you get the physicality of a person, right? Then once we've done the physicality, we then need to talk about the personality of the spirit communicator, their passions and their profession. Yeah. So these are great too, right? Because they look at things like, what was your profession? What did you wear to work? What tools did you use? Did you have any types of close colleagues? Did you enjoy what you did for work? I mean, beautiful. And there's the hand symbolizing, what was it like to feel that in their body? Could you feel that they were a lawyer, or could you feel that they worked in the army, or could you feel that they were a farmer and worked with their hands, or a carpenter or a builder? It'd be cool if you could perceive that. Or using these cards, you can. Then something like sport, for example, which not a lot of people talk about in mediumship. Did you enjoy sports to do or watch? Did you win anything specifically? And being able to hear it. Sometimes it can be like, oh, I just heard on TV. I'm hearing Manchester United, who must have loved watching Manchester United play soccer on the weekend on TV. Do you understand that? You know, it can be that simple. These are wonderful cards to help people try and connect to the personality, profession, and passions of a person. What did they enjoy doing most? What hobbies were they good at? Do they do it alone or with others? How much time do they spend on it? Do they have lots of supplies? Fantastic, right? Being able to see it clairvoyantly. So as we progressing, we're talking about physicality, and then as we progress, we're now into personality, passions, and profession. And then we're getting into purpose of communication, which is extremely important, the purple here. P3, the purpose of communication. If you could have your time again on earth, would you live differently? What are you sorry about? Feel the emotion in your body, but feel the heart emotion. So this is about feeling the emotion that we feel from a spirit that comes near us, yeah? Some other types of questions that might be in the cards. Are you worried or concerned for someone? What do they need to know? Will they be okay? Can you receive a sign to know that you're there to help them? Visually try and see what that could be. Unexpressed emotions, for example. How did you deal with emotion when you were alive? Are these emotions that were unexpressed in life but need to be shared now? Sadness, anger, fear, compassion? What's some unexpressed emotion, and feel that with the heart? Do you want to thank someone for things done after you died? What do they do specifically? Letters, words said, speeches? Who was responsible for? And then what I love the most, and that's not found in any other deck of cards that helps with mediumship development in the world, is post-life evidence. And I think this is missing the most in mediumship today. One of our greatest goals as mediums is to make people feel like they can connect to a loved one, right? But it's also that we want people to feel like they're still with them today, moving forward in their life, so that the loved one in spirit's not gone. So if you're wanting to know from your own loved one, or if you're wanting to do this for a living and help other people, right? We've got a duty and obligation there to try and make a person feel that the spirit is still with them even now. And how do we do that? We get the spirit to tell us what they see for you as a person since they've died, or we help your recipient understand that through what you're perceiving. So the big thing here is, this is what the spirit sees for the recipient since they've died, okay? And I love this the most. So same thing, what happened to your home when you died? Who was the executor of the will? Who lives there now? Are you happy with the outcome, as an example? How was their service, right? How was their service, okay? A great thing to also clairaudiently try and perceive. Who was there? What did the grave look like? Or what's happened to the ashes? Words spoken, songs played. Try and hear it clairaudiently. So we're asking the spirit to make you be influenced through sound and to perceive that sound. So these cards are also really good for anyone who says, sometimes I just see spirit, but I don't hear them. Or sometimes I just know they're there, but I can't feel them. Or sometimes I get visions, but I don't sense, hear, or feel them like I'd like to, right? These clairs and practicing with these cards over time will teach you to get better at being able to hear. The more you practice, the better you get at hearing from the spirit. The more you practice, the better you get at seeing what the spirit's got to say. The more you practice, the more you can just know. So this is really, really important here, which I love these the most, Try and see clairvoyantly life changes. What life changes are taking place in the life of a loved one since you've died. See a clear image of the change. How has it affected them? I mean, what a wonderful thing to be able to share to a recipient. Clear cognizant ability. Opportunities. Since you've died, are you aware of any opportunity that is happening for a loved one now? What kind of opportunity will it be a success? I mean, this is the ultimate game here, right? We really want people to know that their loved ones are still with them, right? I love this one too, adventure. Since you died, are you aware of the adventures that your family or friends have had? How did it feel? And were you proud of them? Very, very important. And as you can see, there's 20 double-sided cards with beautiful images. Now, what's also really, really cool about this deck of cards is it also comes with a bonus 20. So this is P5, right? This is causes of death, which is also included in the deck of cards. Now, these are different types of death, so that if you're learning and wanting to practice to connect to spirit, you also need to be able to reference different types of death. If you've, say, for example, come from a family that you've only had grandparents who've died, you'll be good at getting grandparents, but maybe not someone who was a soldier, or someone who might have been a doctor, or someone who died in a car accident or suicide or whatever. This is where learning to profile a spirit person with a different type of death can also help you build a reference point to be able to connect to that for someone else in the future, or to connect to that to someone else in your family who did die from that, but you might not have known about. This is where you can go back into intergenerational connections with spirit, even for yourself, which is remarkable when you think about that. This is where, if you were going to do this, you could say, with a focused attention awareness, I'm going to now connect to someone who died through acts of service in my family, or for someone who's coming to see you to connect to a loved one. So you can use this to connect to a loved one that's died for someone else even. All right, I've pulled this card, so therefore I'm going to try and connect to someone who was in the army, for example. I know I have a man here who was in the army, or she was a woman in the army, and I know that they lived beyond the war. They didn't die in the war, but they lived beyond the war. Or they did die in the war. I know this is the First World War. I know that they're honoured in a cemetery, or you know what, their body was never found. They were just lost in the battle and couldn't be found. But it's in Normandy. I know that because the Spirit tells me this. And seeing the visions of it. So you're kind of seeing how they may have died, for example. Now, the cool thing about this is there's 20 different types of death here to help you expand your connection, right? Same thing. I'll give you some more examples there. Connect with someone who's died from drugs or medicine. How did they die? What happened? How do you feel about drugs now? Yeah? Bite, stings, or poisons. Connect to anyone who might have died from bite, stings, or poisons. What happened? Did they suffer? What were their last thoughts, etc.? Some of them might have died as a young child from animal attack, heart problems, occupations, dying at work, natural disasters or air disasters, etc. Falling, slipping, tripping, infections, double-sided, all these different types of death, which is just awesome to help you connect to different types of people who've died and to build your ability to reference those experiences every time you make a connection. Now, the cool thing about that is not only can you, for example, profile a person who's died, but you can do it from scratch, right? So you could say, all right, I'm going to connect to someone who's died in hospital, emergency, yeah? Someone who's connected and died in hospital, describe the situation, what was wrong, how did they feel about it? I got a lovely lady that's died. I know that she was on the operating table. She was having a double bypass when everyone thought she was going to live. And then she dies on the operating table and no one gets goodbye. I feel like this lady comes today to tell a loved one that she's remorseful and then get a chance to say goodbye properly, right? Then we can then profile more about the person. So not just understanding their death and what's happened around that, then we can actually get deeper into who they were as people when they lived on the earth. So this is, well, were you intelligent? I know this lady tells me she read the Bible back to back. I know this lady's telling me that she loved, Wilbur Smith, and she read a book at least once a week, or she was into Mills and Boon from Reader's Digest, or she read the Reader's Digest encyclopedia from back to front, and it has, and you have that today. Very fast, very intelligent, very quick, creative person. Also loved art and painting, for example. We get into the hobbies. She definitely had a collection of cactuses, or she loved her marigolds and pots, and the garden was a big, important thing. This is where we can start to get deeper with evidence and profile. Purpose of communication. Thank you for looking after my will. Thank you for reconnecting to a brother that was overseas and letting him know what had happened, and getting him involved in being an executor in the will and making all of this possible so that everyone got a fair share since I died. And I know that you're about to go on a fabulous adventure where you went canoeing through the islands in Thailand, with your fiance, and you've got a beautiful child coming. I'm really excited that you had this adventure before you become a mum and having a baby, as examples. So this is where we're profiling a person from beginning for the unique or specific type of death to being able to give physical evidence of who they are, so that they can be identified by yourself or a recipient, establishing passions, profession, personalities, about the person, being able to then why the communication has come, why the Spirit wants to be here in the first place, the purpose of communication. And since they've died, what they're aware of that's going on in your life or for someone else you're reading for, if you're going to do this mediumship for a living. So isn't it a wonderful tool to be able to have? These are fantastic. I use them all the time, every day, even in my work, because I still sometimes forget I have to ask Spirit questions. And by doing so, you become more evidential and give more evidence in the process. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to maybe get a pack and try them for yourself. Remember, you can get them as a combo deal with the book. It's much cheaper. And the book goes into a lot of detail also about how to, with 10 easy steps, learn how to be able to communicate with Spirit. These are all my steps on how I became an evidential medium. And the 4 Ps is really specifically broken down into this in the book, and how to go about profiling a spirit person from start to finish. And the cards are a wonderful tool to help you then use this as a practical element in building the skill set to be able to, from start to finish, create more referencing ability to get different types of death from people who've died, but then also to look at evidence within physicality, personality, passions and profession, and then of course purpose of communication and post-life evidence, which is missing a lot in modern mediumship today. So I really hope you're inspired by this, and if you've got any questions or want to know more about it, don't feel free to leave comments in the comments below, or send me an email. I'm more than willing to help anyone who's interested in wanting to learn, or wanting to connect to their loved ones who've died themselves, or anyone who's wanting to be more evidential in their work to serve and help others. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. To see more like it, examples of my readings, my demonstrations, my spirit drawings, and spiritual education, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, link below in the comments. But you can also friend me on social media. I'd really love that via Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon.